episode 10 review breakdown starts now for Cosmic Fury. We get our final intro with Olly, and we get him smiling, which makes me laugh because it looks like he wants to smile all the way through, because it's like someone's just told him a joke. But yeah, it's really nice that we see it. Kind of wish we saw it maybe an episode ago. Would have been more interesting, but hey, it is what it is. But we open up with Ion in a white room, and we've seen this room multiple times before in Power Rangers, or maybe at least once, but we have seen it before, and it is the Morphing Grid. And there is Zato. He's standing there, and as he turns around, he has blue contacts, which again is a very important thing that we see. The countdown has started till the Master Captivate is going to be destroyed, but at the moment it hits like 1, we see that Mucus as well as Slifer have captured a Squidrill and are rushing in to kind of destroy and kind of free the Rangers. It's nice to see them both actually get a proper redemption arc, and it's not just like a haha, we've tricked you. It's that they do want to help the Rangers. They don't want to be destroyed. They want to help out, and this is the only way. No one would have expected it, because literally if they came onto the ship, no one would be like, oh shit, you're good, are you? They would have just literally gone, okay, cool. So I really like the fact that Slifer and Mucus have saved the day to help out the Rangers. It's a fantastic thing, and I'm so happy that they did this. As soon as the destruction happens, we see Scle actually teleport out, which means he's out there. He'll be back, you know he will be. He's been in 3 seasons so far, so we know that Scle will hopefully come back at some point, or we don't know what's going to happen to him. But tell me in the comments, what do you think will happen to Scle? What do you think he's going to do now? Bajillia summons multiple Squidrills to protect the planet, and I feel like this is a cool thing, but it just feels like when you see them teleport in, that it's only one side of the planet, that the Rangers could just escape and go on one side and be like, see you later. But I feel like when you see all the Squidrills teleport in, that it's not enough for a massive fleet invasion, and you think that you would have tons more so that you could keep the Rangers at bay, but effectively it doesn't work. Bajillia turns around and says that one blast from outer space will destroy the tube, releasing the energy, and then that's it. I generally think that why just didn't you blast yourself, and hit it straight away? But before the Rangers can teleport away, one blast hits the group of the Sentinels with the Cosmic Fury Blaster, or the Cosmic Blaster, which makes one of them fly and hits the tube, which then causes it to crack but not shatter like they want to. Amelia goes, this is our plan. She teleports onto the ridge. She grabs the Master Captivator and then teleports out, and the Rangers and their weapons all kind of go as well. And then Bajillia's like, no, how dare they? No, grr. And she teleports out. We return to the Morphing Grid, and Ion actually hugs Zato, but Zato doesn't hug him, and he wonders why. We get a little bit of an interesting conversation when Ion asks Zato if it's him, and he's like, no, sorry. It's just your mind projects what you want to see. We've seen this sort of stuff, especially like with Barry in The Flash, where he's gone into the Speed Force or he's gone somewhere, and his mind literally shows him what he wants to see. So I kind of really like this approach, and I kind of like now thinking about it, that we get to see the Morphing Grid in a physical form if you were actually summoned there. So I generally really like it, because, when we saw it maybe with Orion where he was fusing the keys together, it could have just been like, oh, here's just a flashback or whatever. But no, I think it was really cool. I think I like this sort of storytelling when it comes to the end of the Power Rangers. The ship is leaving the planet. The Squidrill that Mucus and Slifer on is zooming about, but gets badly damaged and is about to blow up. So Mucus and Slifer actually teleport out and go into space. Now, this is one of the things that really irritates me, because I generally thought that they would have teleported onto the ship, which would have made sense. As soon as someone teleports out, it normally kind of locks into where they want to go. I would have preferred seeing Slifer as well as Mucus teleport on the ship, because it would have been a fitting end. But no, they just teleport out, which I think is basically they go into space, which we see in a few scenes later on. But I would have liked it that they stayed on the ship, because it would have made sense. They saved the Rangers. At least the Rangers can do is give them a lift home. But I think this scene is one of the biggest in Power Rangers, and it is fantastic. And I have a video talking about this much later on coming out. The ship is flying out and suddenly Billy contacts the Rangers and we see a handful of Megazords suddenly just kind of pop out of nowhere. And when I saw this scene for the first time, I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. This is what I want to see. I generally really liked it. The Megazords that we see in 3D are the MMPR Megazord, obviously. Then we have the Astro Megaship, the Lost Galaxy Megazord, the Ninja Blaze Steel Megazord, and the Beast Morphers Megazord. So it's very interesting to see it was the selection. I personally, to make this more of a oh my god moment, if they had every single Megazord just kind of come out of nowhere, I think that would have broken the Power Rangers community. 100% would have broken that community. And I am just in awe that they didn't do it. But for what we got, I literally was just like, oh wow, this is cool. So we see the Megazords fight in space. They go off and destroy a lot of the Squidrels, either by blasting them using their swords, but we see the MMPR Megazord rip one apart with its arms. And I'm just like, is that what Billy wants to do? He's just so angry and just, ugh. But one of the coolest things is we see Trini with Billy, and I was like, oh my god, that's so cool. The only reason why I know it's Trini is because of where this is actually set in the timeline. So seeing Trini on screen in a Megazord once again was perfect for me. I really liked it. I think it'd be kind of cool if they added in some sound. You know, maybe it's like, Billy, we've got to do this or whatever. That was taken from the show or something. I think that would have been really nice. But no, seeing Trini back there, fantastic. After the Rangers are about to escape, Billy contacts the Rangers and they start talking about what's been going on. Billy sounds quite worried because he knows what will happen if Z-Wave gets out and he doesn't want that. So he says, Rangers, you get out of here. We'll take on these Squidrels, you know, we'll defeat them. Just get away from this, you know, and then try and figure this out later on. We get, I think, one of the most touching scenes and a very classy scene at the same time. And I'll explain why. Ion is talking to this version of Zato and he's like, hey, you know, can you sense Zato? You know, is he in the grid? Is he fine? And this other person says, yes, I can sense him. But unfortunately, Zato can't come back whatsoever. So they start talking and this version of Zato goes, ah, yes, Rangers, Lord Zed. But then his last line where he goes like, there was something that I normally used to say in this time of need. And it would go, may the power protect you. And we find out that it's Zordon. You know, not the Zordon that we knew, but it's the embodiment of Zordon, which I am so happy that they put this in because it feels like it's a nice way. I think that if you were to do a cooler version, you would have had David there kind of be there just walking up, or maybe saw his face or something. I generally like the fact that they thought about this, they touched on it, but not to the point where, oh my god, like Zordon is back, which would have taken a lot from Power Rangers in space. But I'm really happy. It made me smile and go, oh. But yeah, Ion is then sent back to the ship and he comes along and he's like, what's happened? He reads Izzy's mind to get the kind of more of an idea of what's going on. And the crack is forming in the tube. The Rangers now come up with a plan for the Master Captivator. They want to take it into the Morphing Grid because there is nothing there. There's the energy, and the energy won't kind of destroy anything. It will just basically be absorbed. So because there's no one there, it won't hurt anyone, which again is a very nice plan. And I think it would have been kind of cool to kind of see it. I just think the Morphing Grid kind of like shifted, and maybe that could have affected for the reboot or something, which would have been a nice way of doing it. But I think it's a solid plan. They arrive on Zordnia. They start talking about what's going on, how to do it, and Harvey's like, no, I'm going to take this and I'll do it because I did it once before. And then they all come up with the idea of, all right then, well, maybe if we all do it, share the danger, you know, maybe it would do so much better. And that's the reason why it failed for the first time, because they all weren't there to absorb the power. It would make perfect sense, and I think that would be kind of good. But at the meantime, Bajilia comes out of nowhere and it's like, hey, I'm going to defeat you. But, you know, it doesn't matter about me. If I get one shot on that thing right there, that's it, you're gone, and everything that's good in the universe will be destroyed and I will win. That's all I've got to do. We get one kind of final morph, and I think what would have been really cool to see is if everyone morphed. You know, we had like Zato join them, that would be fantastic to see the final morph, but we get kind of the full team at the moment. They all start fighting, and Basilia just kind of like, I think she teleports onto another rock, and then uses a blaster. But the Rangers use the Cosmic Blaster, destroy Basilia, but ironically, should I say, sorry, her blaster hits the ground and fires one more blast, and actually starts cracking to the point where the energy is about to be released. And it's one of those moments where you're just like, oh, okay, yeah, I get that. Fair dues on that one. So I kind of enjoyed it, and I thought that's a very comical moment. It's a very Sod's Law type of thing. As the Rangers are worried and rush to the altar, they're about to put the staff in, but it gets summoned away, and Zato emerges as a Morphing Master. And I was just like, oh wow, I kind of saw it coming, but I generally really like this. And he basically picks all the Rangers and sends them and himself into the Master Captivator, where they meet Lord Zed. Lord Zed tries to attack them, but unfortunately it doesn't work because energy can't attack energy, and energy is a standard thing. They all start having conversations and kind of appealing to Lord Zed by saying, look, if you give up the Morphing Master power, we can save this. But Zed's like, no, why would I give up this power? I'm going to keep it. They say, like, as soon as the energy escapes from the tube, all good is going to be erased from history. And Zed's like, yeah, that's what I want. I'll rule supreme. And they go like, no, you won't. You will basically be dead, and there's nothing that you can do. And even though Lord Zed kind of ponders this, he's like, damn it. Okay, they're kind of right. They explained that Basilia was going to kind of backstab him, and he's like, fuck, damn it. Or he's like, damn it, at least. All of this time, Olly is using Lord Zed's logic against him. A while ago, that, you know, the strongest survive, the weakest peril. Lord Zed kind of goes, okay, yeah, no, I understand this. And Zato gives him a few chances and says, look, I can only use my powers if you say yes on this one. You have to agree to give up the powers. And Lord Zed's still like, why would I give up this power? And it's like, oh, come on, Zed, we get this. So in the end, Zed agrees and says, fine, you know, I'll give up this power, free me type thing. And they do, and they end up on a different planet. So the planet that they wake up on is Nibiru. I think I said that right. And Lord Zed is in a giant form for some strange reason. The Rangers have been all knocked out. And, you know, he's like, oh, okay, like, you know, I've finally taken out those ninnies. They shouldn't have believed me, blah, 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 all that sort of stuff. And then we see Rita, and I was like, oh, okay, that's a bit weird. Why is Rita there suddenly on holiday? But we find out that because we know that on Nibiru, or Nibiru, I couldn't say it, let me know in the comments, this is a nightmare planet. So Lord Zed's nightmare is the fact that he's serving Rita, even though that I think it should have been something else, and I've made a video on that, or I will be making a video on that, so go check it out. But because of this, you know, Lord Zed is getting drinks for Rita, you know, being her handyman. And this is kind of interesting, but the guardian of the planet turns around and says, like, until Lord Zed comes up with a noble spirit, you know, goes through the changes like we've seen previously, the fact is that he will always be there and relive his nightmare. And the other Rangers say, oh, and if any other monster comes here, they'll be involved and they'll do the same thing. So it's a very cool prison planet, and I don't know why the Morphing Masters didn't stick him there to begin with. It was just a very unique way of ending the franchise, making sure that the bad guys are still there, leaving that Zed is still alive, but he is doomed to stay on the planet that he can't escape and probably has no idea of. Everyone is now back on the ship, and the Morphing Masters are there. They ask on how Zato becomes a Morphing Master, as they don't know, and Zato doesn't know either. Ion explains that there was a being in there that was super powerful, and, you know, the Morphing Masters don't know about this. So I like the fact that Zordon was there, and he's just like, yeah, I have my own like level of status. But because of that, he made Zato a Morphing Master, which was something that I didn't kind of expect whatsoever at all. It's just really nice that Zato gets a good ending at the same time. The Green Morphing Master says they don't know any sort of being that was been in the grid that could do any of this. And they kind of just go like, oh, well, it is what it is. Now, Zato actually says goodbye to his team properly, rather than just the quick see you later that we saw in Dino Fury, and obviously in the last episode with Cosmic Fury. So I like the fact that he got to say goodbye, he got to do his farewells. And one thing I do generally like is the fact that when Zato goes with the Morphing Masters, he just grows into the same sort of size. And I was like, okay, I kind of understand that. And yeah, I just thought it was a a funny thing. I was like, okay, not a haha, just a, okay, that's kind of funny. The Rangers then decide, what are they going to do? Could they go into space? Could they just do whatever? And I feel like this is the open-ended. So if the reboot didn't do very well and they wanted to do Cosmic Fury Season 2, then obviously this leaves it open-ended because they could go around the galaxy or the universe to actually stop evil because they have the means to do it. But then we get a concert at the end. And for some strange reason, this gave me Power Rangers Samurai vibes where they've done concerts and stuff like that. So I generally kind of really like this. I thought that it was a nice way to kind of end it. Now this also sparks the question of once and always. With Harvey on concert, he sings and says the phrase, "May the power protect you." And Billy's like, oh, I'm so glad that he used the old mentor phrase from Zordon. And Ion, for some strange reason, is like, fuck off, no, I was the one who told him that. And Billy's like, what do you mean? And he's like, yeah, the being that I spoke to told me that phrase, and that's the reason why I spoke it or something. And Billy's like, no, you need to tell me everything. You need to tell me everything right now. We get the final part where Amelia gets a text message saying like she's now a big sister and her sister is called Poppy. And she's like, oh, it's like it's named after the person that saved the most precious thing, which is again referencing the part where Pop saved Amelia and actually took her out and raised her as his own. So it was a generally nice thing. I love the fact that Billy looks really annoyed after this. When Amelia comes over to show the picture to Mick and Ion and stuff like that, Billy's like, no, do you know what this means? It means that Zordon's out there. Zordon's there, you know, he's a ghost. And Amelia's like, right, I'm gonna drop everything so I can be in this. And we get the last time we see Zato, as Zato is looking over the Rangers and, you know, he just goes, cool, coolio. And then it kind of closes off and that is the end. That is the end. It's so weird to say that is the end of Cosmic Fury and that's the end of Power Rangers, and well, until the reboot. So yeah, like, what did I think about this? I can see a lot of emotions flowing with some of the fans. When they experience this, they are going to absolutely love it. I feel like this episode did dip where the previous episode was 10 times like better in a way because it was more exciting. But this concludes everything. It ties it up to a point where you can think of two ways. They stay on Earth and that's it, or they can go off and have adventures. It means that if, say, the reboot doesn't really work and they want to come back to doing Cosmic Fury or Power Rangers, you have a way to do it. Evil hasn't been destroyed, which I generally thought was going to be the way of they defeat Lord Zed and that's it. There's no more evil in the universe. But, you know, we have the open ending. I did think that Cosmic Fury would disappoint at times, but it held the action, it held everyone, it had an interesting storyline, and we got to see what it would be like if there was no Sentai or hardly any Sentai driven in with some of the fights, and it showed that the team was very creative. The writing I thought was really decent. I enjoyed watching it, and I've never gotten bored. I did with Once and Always, but with Cosmic Fury, I think that the story ends. There are things that really did annoy me that I think could have been completely changed. But in all, I thought this was a fantastic story. It was, you know, there have been moments where I've gone, oh my God, I didn't see that coming on. Oh my God, that's amazing. With the Megazord fights, with seeing Triny, as well as like the many references to, like, say, Power Rangers in Space or other seasons and stuff. I really liked it. Seeing Heckle was fantastic as well. I wholeheartedly enjoyed all of this, and it's a series that I think is one of the better seasons that could be in like a top 5. Also, seeing Zordon come back in some sort of way was a really nice touch, because again, a lot of the fandom was saying like, what happens if Zordon came back and it was, you know, Rangers, you know, that's what I thought would happen. But seeing that they embodied him in some sort of way to help progress the story and also spark Once and Always, I generally loved it. This series has been fantastic. I'm so glad that this is out. I'm so happy that Simon, Becca, and all the team worked really hard to make this the last season, to actually put time and effort in and not just kind of phone it in. So thank you, Simon, thank you, Becca, and thank you to everyone who has worked on the show. This is fantastic. Anyway, I am going to leave it there. What are your thoughts on this? What did you think about Cosmic Fury? Did you like it? Did you not? Let me know down below in the comments. I am going to leave it there. If you want to help support the channel, hit like, favorite, comment, and subscribe. Check out the Patreon as well as the channel memberships. It took me a while to figure that one out. Anyway, thank you very much for listening and watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. I want to say a big thank you to all my Patreon supporters, and I wanted to shout out Kimona Cat, Kira Stanada, Micah Baldwin. Your help goes a long way to help support the channel, and if you want to help support the channel, the links to my Patreon and channel memberships are listed below in the description.
あらあら、チャンネルをサポートしてくれてありがとう。チャンネル登録、高評価お願い。以下のリンクから商品を入手することができるよ。